Hi and welcome to Information Talks by Sigma Technology, the show where we explore news and topics within the area of product information. Today we are discussing ChatGPT and how it can be used for learning experience design. And with us today we have two learning experience designers. We have Margarita from Sigma Technology and
Hi.
also we have Anastasiia from Ericsson. So welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
So what does a learning experience designer do?
Yeah, for those who don't know, learning experience designers create user-centered and engaging learning content. And we try to help our learners achieve their desired outcomes, whatever it is. And it could be e-learning modules or VR simulations or many different things. So it varies, but it's usually very exciting things.
And your particular user, or who would that be?
I work in corporate learning, so I usually work with people at Ericsson who need to upskill or learn some new skills. So it's corporate learning for me.
And you have the same experience?
Yeah, we work at the same department at Ericsson. I'm as a consultant from Sigma Technology, and we usually do teach employees, or sometimes if Ericsson creates special projects for universities abroad, it might be students, just general public. Yeah.
Okay, so how was ChatGPT perceived in your industry?
I can say that a lot of my colleagues were talking about ChatGPT and it was a very hyped topic. And we soon realized that it can be used in many ways in our profession. So it can create content, it can help provide personalized training, it can suggest some sources. So there are many ways to use it, and I can say that I do use it in my work, and I know that some of my colleagues do too.
Do you also use it, Margot?
Yes, that's actually how I got introduced to ChatGPT, by using it for work. And yeah, I agree with Anastasiia. It's been talked about a lot, created some panic, some havoc, but also a lot of positive inputs.
Yeah, good and bad. Yeah.
Okay, so if we focus on learning experience design, or LXD, as you like to call it, can you tell us a little bit more about how it can be used?
Maybe we can use ChatGPT and ask it.
Okay, so you have an example for us?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's look at that.
So we asked ChatGPT straight up, how can you be used by instructional designers? And it gave us quite a few suggestions. So for example, it can help with creating content or creating assessment, or maybe personalized learning, some simulations, creating scenarios for games, or even giving feedback and analysis. So quite a lot of things. Personally, I use it mostly for the first point there, for content creation, to help me when I'm working with e-learning modules, and also to create learning scenarios. But I can tell more about it later, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, and you, Margot?
I do use it for all of these things, but I like to challenge ChatGPT. And I do come up with face-to-face with some limitations.
Okay, so you have some examples of that, maybe? Yes. Sounds interesting.
I would love to tell you about this.
Okay.
We can again ask ChatGPT, maybe?
Okay, of course. Let's do that.
So let's see. What about your limitations and drawbacks for creating learning content? And it does give examples. For example, first of all, it is not very insightful about the learner's perspective, right? It doesn't have a lot of subject matter expertise. You have to verify it with professionals. It has some ability to explain concepts, but not very complex concepts. It can provide feedback only on texts as of now, but we're waiting for new extensions. Lacks creativity, and of course there are always ethical concerns of can you really use it for learning or not? Is it okay or not? So that's what ChatGPT would say.
Yeah, I totally agree that it has its limitations, and I think it's important for us to understand that it cannot be our primary and only source of content. Like, we still have our jobs as LXDs to always edit and review information that we get there, but it can be a good boost in the right direction when you're out of creativity for the day.
Okay, so a little help, but we still need you guys, of course.
Yes, luckily we still need us.
Okay, so can we look at one of the instances of how it can be used for LXD, and can we try that out?
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start with the first example that I suggested is for content creation.
Okay.
So creating content, we usually do that when we work with e-learning modules, for example, and we need to populate it with some content. And nowadays it's usually we go to Google and ask it. But now with introduction of ChatGPT, it might be a shift from this Googling era into GPT era. So maybe we can try and ask ChatGPT.
Do you have some successful, unsuccessful examples, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We have both. But
We have both.
We'll start with the
Great.
good ones. Yeah.
Let's start with the good one. So here I asked ChatGPT to provide an introduction to a learning module about design thinking. And I also asked to keep it high level. And this is what I got from ChatGPT. So it's 2 paragraphs. I think it looks pretty good. It looks like a good start. I will probably not take and use the whole thing and just copy and paste it. I still have my job to edit, proofread, and maybe consult with subject matter experts first. But I think it gives me a very good start.
I agree.
So this was a good example, maybe?
I have another good example,
You have more?
actually. Yeah, I can show you another one because I was mentioning scenarios before. So scenarios is something that we also use in learning modules to create sort of a story where learners can immerse themselves into. And, it takes some creativity to come up with those stories, and sometimes you're just too tired to do that.
And it takes a lot of time to type it because it's like
Of
long
course,
stories,
it
right?
can be quite long, yes. So sometimes I can ask ChatGPT to create it for me.
Help you out.
To help me
Help
out.
you out.
Exactly, that's a good word. So maybe we can look at that
Okay,
example.
some examples of that.
So here I asked to create a scenario for a module about Sarah who wants to learn to use critical thinking when using ChatGPT.
Okay.
Very meta.
Interesting question.
It's a very relevant example, I think. And here is what ChatGPT provided for me. It's quite long, so I probably wouldn't use the whole thing, but it's okay. I can even ask ChatGPT to shorten it for me if I want to, or I can do it myself. It's up to me how I will use this content, but at least it gave me a boost in the right direction and saved me some time typing
some
out.
inspiration and help. Yeah.
Exactly.
And do we also have some unsuccessful examples, maybe?
Oh, we sure do. We sure do. So I actually would like to show you an example of plain spelling bee.
Okay. Plain
Yes.
spelling bee.
I was trying to cheat plain spelling bee, New York Times. And I couldn't because, let's take a look. So I asked it, can you use only letters R, C, I, F, M, L, O to make 7-letter words?
Okay.
And what it did is, it came up with words that were not 7 letters and used other letters. So for example, in the first one, comfier, it has E, not a letter that I allowed it to use. And in 2, it's a 6-letter word. And I'm like, come on, ChatGPT, you could do better.
Yeah.
I had to argue with it for a good half an hour. It did not understand what I wanted. I don't know why.
You have a difficult relationship with ChatGPT,
I
I can
have
tell.
a very difficult relationship.
So you ended up in a dead end in this example.
Here I ended up in a dead end. But I can show you another example that's successful, hard to say. Definitely difficult.
Okay, let's look at that.
So I thought, as learning experience designers, it would be nice to use ChatGPT for training of staff training. Like, let's say, I'm learning to be a customer support agent in a bank. Can you role play with me an angry customer who is upset about their bank card being delivered to wrong address?
So some role playing here.
Yeah. So it's like ChatGPT is an angry customer, I'm the support agent. And what it did is just, it wrote the whole script for me. Instead of waiting for my responses, it would be like, oh, angry customer, hello. Customer agent, support, hello, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, stop it. So here also I had to argue with it for a good half an hour. And it finally understood what I wanted. And we had a successful conversation.
So you actually solved it in the end.
I solved it.
Okay.
And I don't know, like with spelling bee, I just gave up. Maybe if I tried more. But it does take some time to learn.
Okay,
So.
and maybe hopefully updates will maybe solve these issues. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I hope so.
Okay, so do we have some conclusions and some predictions maybe for the future?
Yeah, sure. I think ChatGPT and other AI instruments will be everywhere.
They're here to stay.
You think it would change our lives?
I think so. I think this is a development that cannot be stopped at this moment. So we already see ChatGPT, and we have other tools that are being slowly integrated into our lives. Like, you know, when I'm creating PowerPoints, AI gives me suggestions on how to design my slides.
Yes.
When I'm typing text, AI gives me suggestions on how to formulate my sentences better, and so on.
Exactly. Like I've forgotten long ago how to spell the word bureaucratic.
Because you don't have to
It's
anymore.
just, there's so many letters, they don't make sense. It's some French word. So I'm like, okay, you know, my autocorrect will help me here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it is.
So we can save some space in our brain, I guess, for doing other things, while those AIs can help us and relieve us from some routine tasks, maybe.
Yeah.
And you think it's a bright future or a more darker future? What is your thoughts on that?
Oh, ChatGPT dark. Well, ChatGPT is definitely going to be, or instruments like that, incorporated in different tools. It will be there. There is no sense to resist it.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, but I personally, even though I'm the bad cop, I think it will be for the better. And Anastasiia actually told me about this story of Plato, which could be a good example of why people are always panicking, and then it's not usually about anything bad. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the story that I came across some time ago about Plato. It was very, very long ago in ancient Greece, and Plato was worried about invention of alphabet.
Okay.
So he saw this as this new scary technology and said that it will create forgetfulness in the souls of people, because now they will just have it all written. Don't need to memorize things anymore. So it's not the first time that we are experiencing some development and are being scared of it, you know. But I think in the end we adapt. We adapted to the alphabet. I think we're doing fine. And hopefully we will adapt to ChatGPT as well, and we'll learn to use it to our advantage.
I think it's just going to make our life better and easier.
So just adapt, and I think it feels quite good.
Like Google Maps, like autocorrect, like everything.
Yeah.
Everyone likes it now.
Yeah, it's reality.
It is.
So thank you, Margot, and thank you, Anna, for these great discussions during our information talks today. And please follow our show for more discussions and trends and news within product information. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.